You're Shadow Victims Minister. And there are things that you want to say today about a former relationship that you were in. Tell me about that relationship.
So I think as a Shadow Victims Minister, every week, most days I speak to victims, women who are in or have been in awful abusive relationships, some unimaginable circumstances. And they're treated appallingly by the courts, by the justice system. That's why I want to speak about a past relationship that I've had that I feel needs speaking about.
Tell me about what you experienced in that relationship.
So I got into this relationship at quite a weak point in my life in terms of where I was headed. This person, I think, seemed to be giving me the support and the love initially. Nobody gets into a relationship to not be loved. I thought I'd found an incredible person and that we would be happy forever after. It turned quickly to, within a few months, to more of a controlling relationship. And that became very difficult. One that became very difficult to A, understand what was happening, and B, to get out of.
Tell me what you mean by a controlling relationship. Give me some examples.
So I suppose using put-downs a lot.
Like what?
Using control of a situation, belittling me when I want to have certain opinions, telling me that I was going crazy when I tried to argue a different view, using a withdrawal and silent treatment as well as a punishment. All of these are quite small things, but added up day after day, you start living and in a state of permanent anxiety and stress and trauma, not knowing what's real and what's not.
When did you first realise this was a pattern of behaviour?
A few months into the relationship, when he lost his temper over something quite small and lashed out at me verbally, I was so shocked. I cried in front of him because I was so shocked at what I thought was an extreme response. In other relationships, normalized relationships, you'd feel sorry, you'd feel some empathy. But he didn't. He would get angrier if I showed any emotion. And when I showed emotion, he got more angry. Almost disappointed. So then you start trying to hide your emotions and upset. And you start trying to do things that will please him. Because it's not all bad. And I think when I speak to victims of all manner of different abuses, and there are a lot of those, it's never all bad. It's never, there's always good points. You stay for a reason. But when you get into a relationship which is more coercive and controlling and manipulative, hugely toxic, then you wonder what is truth and what isn't. You question yourself because they are constantly questioning you and criticizing you, telling me I'm going mad, telling me I need mental health treatment because I lost my temper because he wound me up so much. That becomes the norm to live with, that stress and anxiety.
How do you cope with that? What is the psychological impact of living in that kind of situation?
So you almost become, there is a term which is trauma bonded, which is almost, it is normal to live with that trauma. You're constantly doing things to not upset the person. I tried not to upset him, but sometimes, and I'm a quite strong-willed individual and determined and educated, and I pride myself on being a strong woman. So when you think, no, this isn't right, argue back and have those discussions. You're met not with a discussion or a debate, you're met with some manipulation or anger or someone moving the goalposts. And that's what it is about, moving the boundaries. So you never know where the boundaries are and how it fits into your relationship.
What you suffered was emotional and psychological, never physical.
Never physical. Never physical.
But the scars linger as much as any physical ones would linger.
Yeah, absolutely, which is why it's so important for victims out there. The law understands that coercive emotional abuse is a very real thing that women face and take a long time to get over the trauma of it.
Did you talk to anyone about what you were going through?
I talked to my friends.
Did they get it?
Yes. My good friends absolutely saw it. They understood it and they were there for me, and they are why I got out eventually of that relationship. They're the ones who gave me the strength to get out.
Did he ever diminish you in public or try and humiliate you in front of your friends? Were they witness to it?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. In very small ways that there's no one element of this that you can point to and say, that means this person and it is this type of emotional abuser. But absolutely belittling me, trying to joke or control, but in a way that I think showed some of my friends that could see what was happening and didn't trust him at all.
And you have children?
Yes. My children are incredible, amazing, strong individuals, and they are really proud of me and how I got out of that relationship. I'm really proud of them, and I'm always, my first thought is them.
And you're much older than you look, just for people who are thinking, how old are our children? So you're 50.
I'm 50.
So your children are...
It's a good age.
Your children are...
My children are now 18 and 21.
How did you get out? Was there a moment?
There was a moment, but I would say, astounds even me, I don't understand how I stayed in this relationship, because he had affairs that he denied completely, would absolutely deny it to me. And then he would delete the evidence that I'd found, trying to get in my phone one morning as I woke up, and he deleted everything that I'd found of an affair so that I couldn't have anything to show that would be my reality. Even after that, and he'd apologise and say it didn't mean anything, you're the person that I love. Because it's never all bad. Even after that, I asked myself why I stayed. I don't understand it myself. I don't understand why did I do that to myself? And why did I do that to my children? And I don't know that answer, quite honestly, but it took all my strength to leave. It absolutely did, and I think that's the nature of this weird state that you get into when you're in a relationship like that. And I knew that I needed to go, because you consciously know that this is not good. And I made a plan. And I stuck to it. It took me a bit longer than I thought, but you think you've got to have everything lined up. You think you've got to have everything in place in order to go. And I went out on a walk. It was cold, dark, it was dusk. And I just thought I need to go out and clear my head. Went out, and I just thought, I've got to do this. And I rang one of my friends, and she said, you're never going to do this, are you? You're never going to go. It's never going to be right. You're never going to have the right time. You've just got to go. Go back now and tell him you're going. Just go back and tell him you're going. And she said, you've got to Beyonce it. Imagine you're Beyonce, you've got to go in there and you just got to go. Don't worry about everything. Don't worry about your stuff. Don't worry about your things. That's material. You've just got to go. And I did. That's what I did. I just thought, and I knew that in my head. I knew that I just needed that little switch to go. So I just went back in. I packed a small little bag and I just said, I'm going. And I walked out.
What did you do?
I don't think he believed me, because we've had rows, of course, before, and I had never left. He was angry when he saw me going. He's never been violent. He got angry. He got frustrated, and I just don't think he thought I'd go through with it. And he thought, even once I've gone, I think once I'd gone, he thought I would come back.
Have your friends been your therapy subsequently? Have you needed formal therapy to get through it?
Yeah, my friends have been amazing. They were there for me, and they continue to be there for me.
Where did you go when you left?
So I had lined up somewhere. I'd lined up a little flat. But even lining that up, and there was hardly anything there, because I'd left everything behind. And slowly, I did manage to get things out and got a few bits and pieces. And
so for any woman who is watching, there's clearly some serious warning signs. Do you think they're universal, the warning signs, or the nature of?
Definitely. Definitely. There were red flags. Getting into the relationship, back then there were red flags. Lots of people warned me. But I think with this kind of person, they assume another persona to you straight away, and they feel like they're your partner, you're the one that you want to be with. They reflect back the things that are dear to you, that you're passionate about. He was intelligent and interesting and funny, but then comes the change. But by that time, you're financially involved, you're emotionally involved, and it becomes much more difficult, because that's the kind of person they are. And I think what I would want any woman out there to know is that you can leave. There are many people in these kind of relationships. You don't need everything in place to go. You just need to say, now I need to get out and go. And I think the other thing to remember is once you've gone, that's not the easy bit. It was far easier to stay. But once you've gone, that is the hard bit. Don't expect things to get easy straight away. It takes time. And there will always be part of you that always thinks and wonders, what if? Was he really like that? Because again, you question your own sense of what was real, what wasn't real. What were those boundaries? And that's when I turned to my friends, and say, if you ever think of phoning him or want to go back, phone me.
And you never have, because you've never wanted to go back.
I mean, it's hard. It's always been hard, but you know, you move on. But I think it's about telling women out there that they can do this. They can leave, and that it isn't right, and we need a system in place to make sure misogyny and sexism is spoken about, exposed, and misogyny in the workplace is made illegal, or anywhere. Street harassment is made illegal, all of this. But we need to make sure that women feel empowered, that they can leave a relationship. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So it's okay not to leave straight away. It's okay to be in that relationship and plan, but take those steps and write it down in 1, 2, 3 steps. What are those 3 steps? And do it.
Anna McMorrin, I think what you have said today will help a lot of women, and I think it's very brave of you to do so.
I hope so.
Thank you.
I hope so.
Thank you so much.